Sexual access as ritual permission. Welcome back. I'm Adeline, 11-time published author, and this is the Ritualistic and Occult Elements series. Today's video is one of the most difficult, but most necessary conversations we will ever have in this series. We are talking about why sexual abuse is almost always present in targeted individual TI experiences, and how it isn't just trauma, it's ritual, not symbolic, not metaphorical, ritual in the literal, occult, contractual sense. Sexual access in these systems is never accidental. It is engineered. It's the first access point, used to break sovereignty, destabilize consciousness, and install ritual authority over the victim's energy field. In the language of spiritual control, penetration equals permission. That is how the system views it. Physical rape, dream infiltration, drugging, grooming, and even pseudo-affection in childhood are not about lust. They are about spiritual engineering. The moment that line is crossed, the system believes it has your energy. It believes your soul has been marked. Let's go deeper. When a TI is chosen, whether because of spiritual lineage, psychic ability, DNA encoding, or karmic inheritance, access becomes the system's #1 objective. And the most powerful form of access is sexual. Not because it's the most violent, but because it's the most effective. Sexual trauma has a unique ability to fracture a person's spiritual structure, collapse their nervous system, and shatter intuitive clarity. Once trauma enters the root chakra and sacral space, the target begins to question everything, especially themselves. In bloodline families, sexual access often begins under the guise of care. You'll see it labeled as medical exams, support, babysitting, emotional closeness. The child is groomed to blur the lines between love, control, and touch. The phrase, "your body is not your own," is never said, but always felt. That conditioning is not incidental. It's preparatory. By the time the child becomes a teen or adult, they're already energetically split, confused about consent, conditioned to equate obedience with safety, and primed for ritual. Now add sedation to the picture. Many TIs report memory loss, dream fog, or sudden body fatigue around their handlers. That's not fatigue. That's a planned takedown of the consciousness layer. Through chemical suppression, whether via food, drugs, environmental toxins, or direct injection, the TI is made unconscious, so spiritual access can occur without physical resistance. This is what makes the abuse not just rape, but ritual rape, because it's done to bypass conscious will. This is not just about domination, it's about coding. Once a TI's body has been violated, the system treats them as open access. Just like an open file on a computer, they are now considered programmable. This is where spiritual manipulation, timeline interference, and dream hijacking begin. Handlers, whether conscious or not, are used to maintain that access. Sometimes through affection, sometimes through sex, and sometimes just by maintaining presence, because the energetic bond established during the violation becomes a spiritual anchor. This also explains why many TIs begin to experience bizarre spiritual or paranormal events after sexual violation. Sudden nightmares, hallucinations, voices, entity encounters, loss of time, sleep paralysis. These are not symptoms of psychological illness. They are symptoms of energetic fragmentation. The ritual worked, the field has been broken. Access has been granted to forces that do not respect consent. And in advanced targeting programs, there's another layer: documentation. Whether through hidden cameras, manipulated sleep states, or digital mirroring, the abuse is often recorded. Many TIs are unaware this footage even exists. But in dark web economies, ritual abuse footage is a currency. The goal is not just blackmail, it's containment. If the TI ever awakens, ever exposes the system, the footage can be used to shame, discredit, or spiritually collapse them. You're no longer just a person. They've turned your body into evidence. Evidence that they control you. Evidence that can be weaponized whenever you step out of line. Let me be extremely clear. This is not just sexual abuse. It's spiritual entrapment. The abuse is used to anchor you to a reality that is not yours. A timeline that is not your highest. A belief system where you feel powerless, dirty, broken, or unsafe in your own skin. And when you start to break free, the system responds. More handlers are sent. New relationships form. Sudden romance, unexpected reconciliation. Or often a spiritual mentor, healer, or coach who understands you, only to subtly steer you back towards silence. In my case, what looked like care was actually covert control. What felt like sickness was chemical suppression. And what began as a family member bringing me morning coffee ended in total collapse of my physical, emotional, and spiritual state. I spent 6 months falling ill for no clear reason. At first, it was circulatory problems. Purple legs, purple lips. Then, one day, I realized I was passing out after these coffees, sometimes for 18 hours a day. My iPhone sleep data confirmed it. I wasn't sick. I was being sedated. It escalated into seizures and temporary eyesight loss. My gut knew something was wrong, and it was confirmed the day that family member brought me a slushie and I left it on the counter. 8 hours later, it hadn't melted. That's not normal. That's not a preservative. That's an experiment. I confronted them, and at first they denied it, until I pushed harder. Their response? I just thought it would calm you down. You've become so unmanageable. That's what handlers believe, that you're not a sovereign being. You're a project, a possession, a task. And they'll do what they feel is necessary to keep you sedated, submissive, or silent, even if it means violating every boundary of your human dignity. What's crucial to understand is that this ritual doesn't end when the abuse stops. The energetic imprint remains. The shame, the confusion, the fear, the sense that you are no longer yourself, that you are spiritually infected, that your body betrayed you. And if no one teaches you otherwise, you carry that imprint like a scarlet letter. But here's the truth. Sexual trauma does not define you. It defines the system that used it to control you. Once a TI has been sexually accessed, the next phase is usually reinforcement. That means repeating the violation through new relationships, new helpers, or recurring trauma triggers. This is where seduction becomes surveillance. Relationships are no longer based on love. They are based on access. And the moment you try to say no, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that system reacts. With threats, with guilt, with illness, with more spiritual interference. This is not about sex. It's about binding. Many TIs have reported that once they started healing, changing their diet, detoxing, fasting, praying, remembering, new people would enter their lives, quickly offering romance, intimacy, or even therapy. But it always comes with a subtle price, a shift in consciousness, a dulling of clarity, a slow, steady redirection. That is how you know it's not love. It's programming. This is why every TI must understand. Sexual trauma is not just personal. It's systemic, it's spiritual, and it's ritual. When they violate you, they aren't just harming you. They're installing something into your field. Something that tells you to stop moving, stop speaking, stop remembering. Something that tells you this is what you deserve. And that voice, that spell, is not yours. Your body is not dirty. Your spirit is not broken. You are not used goods. You are a stolen field, a sacred one that was hijacked through tactics most people will never believe, but which we now name, clearly and publicly. So what do you do now? You stop accepting silence. You stop calling it trauma. You call it what it is, a ritual act meant to bind your spirit. And once you name the act, you can revoke the contract. Not through new age bypassing, not through surface level healing, but through full reclamation of your body, your memory, your timeline, and your energy. You stop trying to forgive and forget what was never just abuse. You investigate who enabled it, who denied it, who told you it didn't happen. Because the system doesn't work without its protectors, and many of them are in your own circle. You track the moment it started. You observe what changed afterward, what relationships appeared, what dreams collapsed, what illnesses started, and you draw the map. You build your own archive of interference. Because that's how you see the ritual structure, not just the event. And finally, you begin the slow, sovereign, serious return of your body to yourself. Not through trends, not through external validation, but through truth. Sexual trauma in these systems is not a side effect. It is the access point, the ritual opening, the signal to dark systems that your field has been compromised. But here's the final truth. Just because they marked you does not mean they own you. You can reclaim your energy. You can close the portals they opened. You can name every part of the pattern they thought you'd never recognize. And you can take back your body, not as an object they used, but as a vessel of divinity they tried to desecrate. And when you do, the system loses its hold because the only thing keeping their spell alive is your silence. So speak. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.